All right. A lot of things happened yesterday. The APC had its NEC meeting where the national chairman emerged, Professor Nentawe Yowata. But to put this in proper context, the PDP also had its own NEC meeting, and some decisions were made. First, having its national convention later in the year in Ibadan. Then talks about zoning the presidency. So it's almost like each party is spying at the other to see what is this one doing, how can we outdo the other and ensure that we're not on the back foot. But take a listen to some of the resolutions from the PDP's NEC meeting yesterday, and we'll come to speak to the APC think tank.
The elective National Convention to elect the next set of national officers of our party will hold on Saturday, 15th to Sunday, 16th November 2025 in Ibadan, the Oyo State capital. Consequently, NEC directed the national chairman, His Excellency Ambassador Ilya Damagum, and the national secretary, Senator Samuel Anyanwu, to officially write to inform the Independent National Electoral Commission of the time, venue, and agenda of the elective National Convention in accordance with the requirement of Section 82, Subsection 1 of the Electoral Act 2022 and Part 2, Sub 12 of the Regulations and Guidelines for Political Parties 2022. Accordingly, NEC approved the membership composition of the National Convention Committee as well as the membership composition of the National Convention Zoning Committee to ensure a successful, transparent, and credible elective National Convention.
So there you have the spokesperson of the PDP. They've been quiet, particularly on the resignation of Mr. Atiku Abubakar and all of, but they've come out to speak now in full force. So it looks like we know where the PDP is headed, at least up until November. But what about the APC? Well, Jeffrey.
All right, let's bring in the APC into the conversation. We are being joined by Mr. Lanre Adebayo. He's the Director General of the Progressive Institute, joining us from our Abuja studio. Mr. Adebayo, thank you so much for coming on the program.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations, first off. That will be in order. There's a new leadership, or a new chairman, I should say, of the All Progressives Congress, and this has set the tone, perhaps, for the 2027 presidential or general election. Is that how we want to interpret this, or is there more to it?
It is the continuation of the consistent pattern of progressive engagement with the Nigerian people. The election by unanimous votes of members of the NEC, of the new chairman, the national chairman, underscores the commitment of the APC and its leadership to sustain its progressive policies and ideology. It is what I could call part of the effort of the president and the entire leadership to reposition the party to serve the Nigerian people. It is therefore what I would describe as a new dawn, the beginning of a serious engagement with the Nigerian people. If you examine the background of the new national chairman, a former university lecturer, a professor, someone who has been involved in RCT development for many years in the university system, former Minister for Humanitarian Affairs. That tells you the direction that the party is being taken to, the direction of introducing a scientific approach to political party management, the direction of making people the center point of the APC leadership at all levels. So in a way, it is reinforcing what the president began with, that is people-focused, people's interest being the center point of the leadership of the APC.
So, on one hand, it appears one agitation is sorted, the agitation from the North Central, when it insisted that the next chairman, because they were agitating that Abdullahi Ganduje shouldn't have been in the first place, given the fact that Mr. Abdullahi Adamu was there before him, so naturally should have gone back to the North Central. Now it's gone back to the North Central, but there are other layers of agitation Is the APC also looking at those agitations? I know this may be within the purview or preserve of the president. I'm talking about this vice presidential running mate of the president come 2027.
But you see, the idea of 2027, as good as it is still not something of an immediate interest. The president and the government is focused now on delivering democracy dividend to the Nigerian people. They are focused on governance. They are focused on ensuring that Nigerian people are taken care of. And of course, the fact that if you look at the preceding years of before these last 2 years, the economy was in shambles. And people talk about poverty, we're hungry and all this stuff. So the president is focused more on that. So the issue of who becomes the vice president, for me, is still too early to be discussed. We have a vice president who is working with the president, and there's a lot of understanding and harmony between them. It is just what I would call some political analysts and some of our colleagues in the media who are inputting some kind of suggestions, motives. And so for me, I think we should not really bother too much about those issues. They are still 2 years away. And I believe that when we get to that point, we'll be discussing it. So it is detracting from governance when you begin to talk about who becomes the vice president or not, when you have a team of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu and his Vice President Shetima working together to deliver dividend of democracy to Nigerian people. I don't think we should really be discussing that at the moment.
Well, let's look at other things that we can discuss. Perhaps, first of all, we should take a second look at the profile of the new national chairman. The mandate of the national chairman, I believe, would be to expand the party, and central to that would be election victories. But he lost his own election in Plateau State in the last governorship election cycle for 2023. And, you know, coupled with what is interpreted to be his calm, maybe even malleable mien, do you believe that you've got a strong character, you know, to steer the ship and even guide it to the destination of election victories that you are, you know, resolved to get?
The new national chairman is an intellectual. I think we should know that. He's a civil person, but very strong, determined, experienced, and a strong politician from Plateau State. Is therefore someone who would not depend on what you call the normal way of doing politics through physical means. He's an intellectual, and therefore, when it comes to engaging at the political level, you are likely to see more of a scientific, more strategic engagement with the Nigerian people, with Nigerian politics. So you're not likely, and of course, if you because of his mien, his civil posture, his very civilized posture, underrate him, then you do so at your own peril. The new national chairman is a strong leader, is a strong person, and therefore will provide the leadership that the party needs for 2027.
It's a very interesting scene we're seeing play out, really. And a lot of people are watching to really understand what the APC is all about. And thankfully we have you, you know, the Progressives Institute, to help us understand the thinking behind the scenes. Because when the APC was formed, you know, you hear progressive and you think, oh, this is liberal in that sense. And then you had President Muhammadu Buhari, who seemed very socialist in nature. And a lot of people were thinking, we hear progressives, then we see Buhari, what is going on? 8 years, we saw the holdback on subsidy removal, a lot of protection of the poor, and some of them still being probed by this government, I should say. Anyway, and then President Bola Tinubu comes in, and yeah, there's that neoliberal sense. And I mean, first he went for Muslim vice presidential candidate. Then we saw the national chairman also was Muslim. I mean, the Senate president was almost going to go to to the north as well, but thankfully that's sort of balanced. But even the Speaker of the House of Reps is Muslim from the north as well. So a lot of people wonder, what does this progressive really mean? Is there a way we can really put our finger on the ideology of the APC, first in terms of uniting the country, because I think that should be at the heart of progressivism in that sense. Secondly, the economy, the approach to economy. So what is the thinking really, since you are the head of the think tank?
See, let me start from the ideology. One of the major things being discussed in the party at the moment, if you listen to the president yesterday, he was talking about the issue of ideology. We are at the moment discussing within the party evolving a clear-cut ideology for the party. Now, what that means is this. We all know what progressive ideology means, but we need to articulate that and agree, because progressive ideology is universal. It is people's focused. But what brand of progressivism are we implementing in Nigeria? So at the moment, the party has started a process of establishing a standing committee involving party leaders, intellectuals, journalists, to develop an ideological framework for the party. That's number one. Number two, that will be discussed at a bigger forum where leaders of the party across the entire country, journalists, the intelligentsia will be discussing that document. That document will go through the entire processes of approval in the party, from National Working Committee to NEC to convention. And once that is done, it becomes what you could call the Bible of, for us to develop a curriculum to train party leaders, party aspirants, party ideologues. So that when you're talking about progressive ideology, you're talking about its framework for governance, framework for leadership at all levels. And it gives us identity. We talk about progressive ideology, whether you are in Sokoto or you are in Kuala Moda, you are in Lagos or Owerri, you'll be talking about the same thing. And it also provides a framework for governance, which, of course, if you're a governor of the APC, you should be implementing certain programs that are progressive in nature. So in a way, while we agree that progressive ideology has to do with the people, has to do with providing social needs of the people, the framework for governance that will reach the grassroots, but we still, as a party, are evolving the framework to ensure that that is clearly understood by all members of the party, as well as leaders of the party. And of course, once you are a governor, or you are chairman, or you are president, you'll be governed by that ideological framework agreed to by all the party leaders. And this is unique. Unique in the country in the sense that there has not been any party before now and now up till now that has evolved that process of an ideological framework. So what the APC is doing under the leadership of the president is to ensure that there is ownership, there is consensus in the party as to what we should be regarding or referring to as ideology of the progressive ideology of the party. But in a nutshell, in a simple way, progressive ideology means pro-people, pro-development, and development in terms of activities. And of course, more importantly, taking care of the people's needs. And that governance should be about the people, while, of course, you also want to grow the economy. You see, it's not like the typical socialist kind of ideology. It means, what it means that you must grow the economy first, before you begin to talk about providing for needs. And that's what the president has done.
Dr. Adebayo, just quickly, as a follow-up quickly, because the president spoke to the governors and said you need to wet the grassroots more. So does that mean that that ideology, first, you say it's not really established as a Bible yet, but does it also mean that the governors are not buying into it? Because if that is the ideology, then the president shouldn't be reminding them time and again. This is not the first time he's had to say that, by the way.
See, don't forget one thing. See, there has been a tradition of governance in the country before now. We are operating the federal structure. And up till now, and let me say this, I'd like to actually commend your team, because for the first time, you're talking about governance involving the states and local government. Up till now, or before now, there was a focus only on federal government. And that has been the tradition. What the APC is trying to do is, and is doing now, is to ensure that there is a framework. Of course, there's consensus that we must be pro-people. But if you look at all the states, whether APC or PDP or APGA, they are operating almost in a similar kind of framework. The president is saying we should do things differently. That is why the entire focus is on a new ideology for the party. Not really new, but articulating our ideology as a party to ensure that people, leaders, whether you are local government chairman, you are governor, you are guided by a strict compliance, by a commitment to the ideology of the APC. So in a way, what we are doing therefore is to recalibrate and reinvent ourselves to ensure that our ideology provides the basis for governance at all levels of our leadership.
All right, Dr. Adeba.
I think one of the things you should take from the president.
Dr. Adeba, if I may come in, just a moment.
Yes.
Okay, my apologies. Brilliant submissions you made, but a few things I want to highlight. First, we speak about all levels of government, whether it's federal, state, and local government. We hold them to account because they are all people that are accountable for our commonwealth. We pay taxes, we make contributions, so we hold everybody to account. I wanted to put that on the record. And then I've listened to you.
No, hold on.
Just a moment so that I can answer all of it at the same time. Yeah. And then I've also listened to you to talk about progressive ideology, but there's no clarity. I will tell you why. There's no clarity. So let's use the basic comprehensible one. Economic ideology. Muhammadu Buhari, welfarist, more of left of center. Bola Tinubu, our president now, neoliberal, more of right of center. Clearly, divergent positions, same political party. Then we can go on and on and on. I could talk about the social element, I could talk about the political element. So, because if we sit down the PDP now, they'll say it's in the interest of the people, but how? So we need you to be very clear as a think tank in the clear, let's use economic direction. What will be and what is being worked on as the economic ideology of the APC in terms of their approach? Is it a hybrid of the neoliberal and the welfarist, or somewhere left or right? Let's begin with that first off. You can also answer the first question you wanted to respond to.
You see, like I said, I wish to commend you for the focus on the federal nature of governance in the country. I'm a journalist, and I've had on several occasions to complain about the focus only on the federal government when it comes to governance. And I think now that the media are paying attention to governance at all levels, and that is why I'm commending you for that. So I also agree that there has been that mistake in the past where focus was only on federal government. Now we need to pay more focus on the state and local government. More so, the last 2 years, states and local government have received a lot more in terms of resources, and therefore there is need for us to pay attention to what is happening at that level. Don't forget also, the federal government is everywhere. The job of the president is to enhance revenue base for the country and ensure that states and local government are empowered, and that has been done. At the moment, states and local government are receiving over 70% of allocation to at federal level, and the president, in fact, as a person, is committed to giving more to the states. So there's a need for us to pay attention on that. Now, the other point you're talking about ideology, the party is discussing within itself a very serious process of clearly defining what it means in every area of the economy, the economy, governance, and other aspects of administration. So I believe that by the time the party concludes the process of developing its ideology in a very clear form, in an unprecedented manner of ownership and consultation and consensus building, you're likely to get a clearer perspective. Let me not jump the gun, because we have started the process. let the leadership of the party, let the members of the intelligence and the media, of course, be involved in that process. I believe in the next couple of months, the party will clearly define what, in all ramifications, what it means as a progressive party.
All right, so I want to believe. So I'm happy that someone like you is in the room. So bringing the value we hear you bring on the table. But if we are to extrapolate into the future and this framework is put together, adopted as a direction in terms of whether economic, political, governance, all of the forms of ideology, whether whichever direction of the left or right, are we going to see a future where even if the APC loses elections someday, we're not going to see defection because they held on to an ideology? Is that your hope? Or this is just mere academic exercise?
You see, movement of politicians from one political party to another party is not a peculiarly Nigerian issue. If you've been following the U.S. Politics, people have been defecting from Republican Party to other party, from Democrat to other party. So it's not a peculiarly Nigerian problem. But so therefore, one cannot say whether people will be constrained to move from one party to the other. Of course, people are at liberty to change their views or their commitment to a particular ideology. Having said that, having a strong ideological base helps in terms of promoting conviction. Don't forget also, I said, we're going to have a curriculum, training curriculum that will be based on that ideological framework, which will form the basis of training of party leaders, of both elected and appointed leaders. So in a way, an ideological base, a strong one, helps to provide clear focus and identity that will make people less likely to want to shift base when the challenges in terms of losing election. But I believe that even now, you could observe that a lot of people are gravitating towards APC. Not necessarily because APC is in government, but because they believe that APC is well organized, APC has a strong leadership, and the election of the new chairman yesterday in a very peaceful atmosphere. In fact, the resignation of the former national chairman, Dr. Ganduje, and the acting of a chairman of Alhaji Dalori, now election of a new leadership, tells you that a consistent pattern. There is a consensus that party must be cohesive, must be well organized and disciplined. So APC, therefore, is laying the foundation, a strong one, for that cohesiveness, for that ownership, and for the involvement of the people, members of the party, in its governance process. So, therefore, we are very optimistic that there will be less likelihood of people shifting base when things are not positive.
Well, fair enough, and I'm glad you acknowledged earlier on that the direction of the ideology is still, in the works. And we hope that there'll be a uniformity, not just in the direction of the ideology at the federal level, but also at the state level as well, such that we see that the subnationals are implementing the party's ideology in line with what the federal government is doing. And we'll not then see the gains, whether indeed it is best suited for our own type of politicking. But let's go to, speaking of politics now, let's go to the comment made by Mr. President yesterday at the NEC meeting, where he said that more defections are coming. And President Tinubu was quite categorical. He, in fact, extended that comment to say that the Congresses should be accommodated up until December. Now, does this fuel suggestions prior to this time that the disaffection in the other political parties was the handiwork of the APC-led government through coercion? Are we to see more defections of governors in the coming days to the All Progressives Congress?
But you see, one of the things people tend to ignore is that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is the first thorough politician who has emerged as our president. He didn't emerge through accident or an accident. He has worked on this for years. He has invested a lot of resources, personal one, in developing and networking in Nigerian politics. He's one of the few Nigerian leaders who has built network across the country. So therefore, if people are moving towards him, it's not because he's president now. It's a payback in terms of relationship. And if you study his trajectory, political trajectory, one thing you would understand is the fact that he has invested in building people. He has invested in building friendship across the country. What you are seeing, therefore, is a return on investment that he has made in the last 10, 20 years. So, in effect, APC is not in any way undermining any opposition party. APC is attractive to them because APC is cohesive. The president is giving leadership, is bold, is a statesman, is taking policy measures that others in the past had refused to or were even afraid to implement. Let me give you an example. Some years ago, we campaigned on removal of subsidy. It was I'm sure if you remember, it was a national campaign. At the end, federal government could not do it because they were afraid. And up till the time he became president, there was a fear of the economic consequence of taking that bold decision. He did. That is why today states are having more resources to implement their programs, their policy programs, and therefore, what we are seeing is not in any way anyone undermining any opposition party. The fact is that some of the opposition parties are not well organized, right, and therefore people are not attracted to remain them in those parties.
This, according to some, is being interpreted as, an unabashed, steering of Nigeria into becoming a one-party state, because the figures now currently look like 23 APC governors to, just a few for the PDP and the rest of them. But we must thank you at this point and anchor the conversation here, and we look forward to another opportunity for this engagement with you. We've been talking with Mr. Lanre Adebayo. He's the Director General of the Progressive Institute for the All Progressives Congress, and he has joined us from our Abuja studio. Thank you so much for coming through on this one.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure.
And there's more to come on the program as we look forward to the Super Falcons' final match with Morocco in the ongoing WAFCON tournament. We'll take a moment now. When we return, we'll have Mr. Sheo Diko join us to talk to us about that. Stay with us.